Hey, Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box Podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And welcome to episode 387.
Yes.
Hey, you lot. Welcome to another episode. We hope you've had a cracking Christmas and New Year and that you've all managed to do something Doctor Who related.
I was trying to do a Shirley Bassey.
Welcome to another episode. We're apologies for not getting an episode out sooner to you after the Christmas excitement of the church on Ruby Road, etc. We've had a little bit of an extended Christmas vacay, if you like.
Yeah.
Mostly because I've been really sick. I've had a bit of a monster flu that's kicked my ass a little bit.
You've been knocked for 6, haven't you, mate?
Yeah, a little bit. So Adam was like, "Look, mate, I really want to record. Are you going to record this week or not?" And I'm like, "Oh, dude, I can't. Just can't do it." And he's like, "Right, I'm out. I don't want to do this podcast anymore.
I'm packing my bags and I'm off."
And that's it. But no, yeah. So this could be an interesting one because my voice is still a bit shot. So I will try my best to mute my my mic if I turn into a big just mess of coughing and whatever. But so far, all good.
If you turn into the Goblin King.
Yeah. Don't make me
at
laugh.
least you have got a slither of a voice this time because you literally didn't have, joking aside, and that you literally didn't have a voice this time last week, did you? You were like this. You sounded a bit like an Ice Warrior.
It was tough, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think
struggle through, mate. Struggle through.
Yeah, for sure. And I think from this year onwards, I think I'm just going to go and get a flu shot.
Yeah.
Book it in early, November time. Just go and get a flu shot because this is not fun.
No.
At all.
It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, you guys had a good one though. Where are we now? The 11th of Jan. So it's been a couple of weeks since the old Christmas festivities and the having Doctor Who back on for Christmas Day, which is very cool for a lot of people. I know that you probably saw the same, dude. Afterwards, Twitter and Facebook and everything just went absolutely nuts afterwards and stuff. So in a way, I'm actually glad that we're not doing our review until now because, as is the case with a lot of Doctor Who, you see a lot of people jump on Twitter immediately within seconds of the episode finishing saying, "That's probably the best Doctor Who I've ever seen. Like, amazing, amazing." And then you give it a few days and then you see the same person in conversation and they're like, "Yeah, it was all right. Yeah, it was okay." And then another few days later, or a week, it's like, "Yeah, I'm not really a fan of that ep. Not really feeling it." So I think once you you get over sometimes when you watch Doctor Who, especially these event episodes and so on, you're on a bit of a high afterwards. So it's very tempting and easy to just hop on and declare to the world how amazing it is. So I think once the dust settles a little bit, which is why our reviews have always been, what's the word? Because our episodes always go out on a Friday. So when new Doctor Who is on, we normally have a week gap between when the episode goes out and then our review.
Yeah.
So it normally gives us a bit more of a clearer, the lens is a bit wider for when we come to record because it gives us a chance to watch it a couple of times and go through it. And the other advantage as well is that we can watch it as a fan and then we know we've got a week to watch it as a reviewer, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true, because I always make sure I give an episode at least 2 watches. And in the case of this one, actually, I'm very glad that we didn't do a sort of immediate review. I mean, I like listening to hot take reviews, And then I always, like if the podcast I listen to follows it up with another review, say, right, we've let the dust settle. But in regards to us, I'm always glad that we don't, because particularly like, for example, this story, my opinion from watching it, on Christmas Day to watching it again a few days later changed massively.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it did. It did for many reasons, I think. So I, in that sense, I'm sort of like the fact that we do take a bit of time just to let the dust settle. I do like to watch an episode at least twice before we do a review. Like you said, to watch it, and then a second time to watch it with my review head on and make notes and be more critical about stuff. And I think it does benefit from that. My opinion has changed huge. Did you get to watch it actually on Christmas Day?
I did, mate. Yeah.
Or did you watch it later?
No, I watched it as it went out. Me and my wife, we settled down, cup of tea, and we watched it live. You know what I mean? The broadcast time. Did you?
Without giving away what your thoughts were on it, did your wife enjoy it? I always like to use that as to gauge the casual viewer's perception of an episode. So
I wouldn't say it's. She wasn't blown away.
Right. Okay.
She didn't finish watching it and then say anything like, "Oh my God, I'm now like counting down the days until Doctor Who comes." It wasn't like that. But she enjoyed it. I think for the most part, she thought it was. She thought it was a bit of a weird one. She was one. I think because Doctor Who has been weird the last few episodes, she's kind of thought like Russell T Davies is in one of his weird phases.
A weird phase.
Yeah. So
he'll get over it.
Yeah. So she enjoyed it, but it wasn't like I didn't have to pick her up off the floor because she fainted with excitement at the end.
I get you.
Yeah.
I've watched this episode 3 times now. So I watched it on Christmas Day, but it was not live, and unfortunately we were well into the family party games by that time, so I was hoping to sneak off to watch it, but that didn't happen. So I watched it when I got home, and I was a bit worse for wear, as you can imagine, and then I watched it again with the commentary with Russell and Millie Gibson, and I forget who the other person was. So you can watch them with commentaries on the iPlayer, which was enjoyable. And then I watched it again with my reviewer head on. Sound like Wurzel when we got my reviewer head on, and watched it with my reviewer head on to make some notes. So I've sort of seen it 3 times, but one of those was drunk. One of them was with the commentary, and then the final one, I thought, right, come on, settle down, sober, and I watched it properly. So yeah, I think that's why my opinion on it changed quite a bit between the first watch and the third, if you like.
That makes sense, dude. Yeah.
Yes, but which way did it? Excuse, I sound like the one with the flu. Which way did it turn? Did it for the better or for the worse? You'll find out in our review.
Indeedy. Stay tuned for that. So we're not going to. It sounds like old Saturday morning TV, doesn't it? Stay tuned. Coming up. But before we get to that, though, there's no news to speak of. We're going to just comment on a couple of things. But if this is the first time of you listening to the Big Blue Box, then welcome aboard the TARDIS. It's great to have you here. Make sure that you. If you like the what you hear after the episode, we'd love it if you went on to follow or subscribe us. To us. You can do that in whatever podcast app you listen to your podcasts on, and you won't miss an episode when they usually land every week. And we also do a monthly episode with our writing team as well, called the Round Table, where we just sit around and pick a theme about Doctor Who and chat about some news and whatnot. We just hang out and chat Doctor Who, really. It's really fun and very cool. Mm-hmm. So you get to hear all that. So all of our content is all free. So just go and give us a like and a follow. And if you've got a second to leave a review as well, that would be awesome. We really appreciate all of you that have left reviews so far. That would be very cool as well. So before we get on to review, just very quickly, we had to say goodbye to a couple of people.
Yes, we did, sadly, yeah. Which is
really sad. So Richard Franklin left us really sadly on Christmas morning.
Yeah.
Which is a real bummer. What a day for that to happen. But apparently there was nothing too dreadful there. I think apparently he had a bit of an illness for a while. Mm-hmm. And passed peacefully while he was asleep. So that's, all you can hope for, really. So, but what a character though from Classic Who. It's a really cool character.
And a lovely, lovely man as well. I've met him a few times over the years at conventions. He's a very sort of gentle person, very sort of calm personality, and just very friendly and very chatty and very, very warm person to talk to. And Katie Manning has been posting lots of pictures leading up to him sadly passing away. So she's been going in to visit him. I believe he was in a care home towards the end, and she's been regularly going in to see him and posting pictures of her with Richard, which have been lovely. So yes, it was very sad. I mean, I was sat there on Christmas Day, and as I said, we'd eaten all the food and playing games, and I opened up my phone just to see what was happening, and that was the first thing I saw. I was like, oh no, not dear Richard. Richard's gone. So that's, yes, it is sad. And Yates is a cool character in the Whoniverse, isn't he? He's a good character that got some good moments. So and as I said, a lovely man as well, Richard Franklin. So that is sad.
Yeah, sad times, dude. And then we also said goodbye to, what was her name? Remind me, dude.
Well, is it Georgina Hale?
Yes, Georgina Hale.
I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, because as regular listeners will know, we are terrible with names. In fact, my friend said she was listening to... She's not a big Doctor Who fan, but she started getting into it because of Shooty. She said she was listening to our review of the specials, and I think she doesn't... it's the first time she's listened to our podcast, and she said, you two are terrible with names. And I'm like, God, and then we were on a good week that week. I said we only got them wrong. So yeah, Georgina Hale was 80 years old. And I think Doctor Who fans will know her best from the Happiness Patrol as... Was it Daisy Kay? Sure, let's have a look.
Yeah.
It's not a story I've seen in a while.
Yeah, it's the Happiness Patrol. That's an interesting story, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we must have reviewed it at some point, but it has been a while since I've seen it. Daisy Kay, yeah, Georgina Hale. Yeah. And do you remember, mate? She did lots of other things. I used to watch a show where she played this character called Teabag, or T-shirt, and she had this really unique way of pronouncing things. Do you remember? She, are you happy today? Mm-hmm. She just had this wonderful voice, which made her quite distinctive, if you like, because she popped up in loads of things. She had quite a good career, but I think she's one of those, if you said to people, Georgina Hale, they'd say, don't know. And then you'd show the picture, oh yeah, I've seen her in like The Sweeney or this or whatever. So she did lots of television, but are you're not that much younger than me. Do you remember... was it actually called T-shirt?
No, the character was called... The young lad was called T-shirt.
What was the programme called? I wonder how many of our listeners know what on earth we're talking about, because I don't know like what the average age of our listener is, but there was this show on when we were kids.
It was called Teabag. Yeah, definitely.
And it was actually called Teabag, yeah. It was bizarre. It was, I don't even know how to describe it, but she was like the main... I don't know if you'd call her a villain. She would sort of pop up every week and sort of terrorise these kids and stuff, didn't she? It was just a fun programme, but a bizarre programme as well.
Yeah, it was. It was kind of weird, wasn't it? About a young girl that.
Almost like an Alice in Wonderland type thing, from what I remember. But
yeah, it was very cool.
Anyway,
yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, obviously, people listening to this podcast will know her as Daisy Kay from the Happiness Patrol. So, Are you happy today? I love her voice, by the way. I don't mean this, not doing an impression out of disrespect at all. I loved her voice. It's just so unique. But yeah, sadly, she's passed away. And I believe she was 80. So,
okay.
It's not a bad innings.
Not a bad innings, yeah. Oh. Okay, so... if you want to listen to our review of the Happiness Patrol,
go on, hit me with it. When was it?
Then you can listen to episode number 179.
179.
Yeah.
There you go. We were just looking through our spreadsheet to see what stories we haven't reviewed yet, so we could pick one for next week. And I was actually astounded how many we've done. I thought we'd got loads more left to do. I didn't realise we are now not exactly scraping the barrel, but we haven't got anywhere near as many left to review as I thought from the classic era. But we've picked one for next week, listeners, so stay tuned to the end to find out what classic we're going to be reviewing next week.
Stay tuned.
Yeah, do stay tuned, listener. Yeah. Stay tuned.
Alrighty, dude. Let's crack on with our review. What we got?
Yeah, so yeah, obviously we will be reviewing the Christmas special that's just gone, starring our new Doctor Ncuti Gatwa, and it is The Church on Ruby Road.
Merry Christmas. I'm the Doctor.
What's up there?
Goblins.
Hiya.
Time travelers are great. Like, wow. Ah! Hold on tight.
Who are you?
High energy trailers from the BBC, which is good because the normally when we've seen all the Christmas specials before, they're all very twinkly and atmospheric and fairy tale-ish, but this is like, nope, this is an action episode, in case you didn't know.
This is like get your string cropped up on, get in that club and get dancing. It's Christmas, everybody. Right, so The Church on Ruby Road was broadcast, obviously, very recently on the 25th of December, Christmas Day, and it was written by Russell T Davies, directed by Mark Tonderai, and it stars Ncuti Gatwa, obviously, as our new Doctor, Millie Gibson as Ruby Sunday, Davina McCall as herself, and about a dozen other supporting cast members, which we'll get onto. And the synopsis for this one is pretty short and sweet. Long ago on Christmas Eve, a baby was abandoned in the snow. Today, Ruby Sunday meets the Doctor, stolen babies, goblins, and perhaps the secret of her birth. Oh. Mystery.
All right, dude. So, off the bat then, what are your thoughts on the first Crimbo special for a while?
First Crimbo special, yeah. Even though I didn't get to see it live, it was nice to have it back on Christmas Day. My thoughts on it were that I liked it, but I didn't love it. I think I sound a little bit like your partner, Nat, in that it finished and I just thought, okay, enjoyable, but the plot was paper thin, I thought. It didn't have there were bits where it was losing me. Some of the scenes seemed to go on forever. I think it could have been tightened up. So it was an hour long, and I think actually you could have taken 10 minutes out of this and it probably would have tightened the story up a bit because there wasn't enough plot to sort of fill that hour, really. There were lots of scenes in them in the house. And just to go back to what I was saying earlier about when I first watched this and the last watch. So while I watched this on Christmas Day, obviously had a few drinks, a bit tired, long day. I was really struggling by the midway through this episode. I was really bored, actually. I was like, oh, we're back in Ruby's house and they're having another chat. And I was like, come on. I really didn't think that highly of the episode on a first watch. But when I did rewatch it to make some notes, fully awake and sober, I did enjoy it a heck of a lot more. Because I think it is one where it is quite talky, so you kind of need to pay attention to it. And that's, if you let your mind drift off on this one, I think it's easy to go, oh, what's happening now? Because there's a lot of back and forth. So, for example, when Ruby disappeared, when the crack appears in the ceiling, on a first watch, I'd obviously zoned out and didn't know what the heck was going on, and then the episode had lost me. So, but I did enjoy it overall. As I said, by the time I watched it properly, I thought it was a decent episode. It had a lot of fun moments. I think Ncuti and Millie have got great chemistry straight away. I think they've really hit the ground running together. And I think Ncuti does already feel very doctorish to me, which is great. I'm really, really sort of taken to him as the Doctor straight away. So, yeah, I thought it was a good episode. I liked it, but I didn't love it, to be honest with you. It wasn't quite as good as I was hoping for, if you like. It didn't. I don't know if not that it was missing something, but I think you've used this analogy before. It seemed to get stuck in one gear a lot, and I just kept waiting for it to sort of ramp up to some big conclusion, which it didn't really do. It kind of just fizzled along for a lot of it. So yeah, it was good, but I don't think it was. It's not one that I'm going to go back and watch that much. I mean, even like last night, obviously it's been a couple of weeks now since I last watched it, and I did think, oh, should I watch it again before we review it tomorrow? and I didn't really have that inclination to put it on, so I think that tells me something, that it's an episode that I think's good, but it's not one I'm going to go back to too often. But yeah, it was decent, mate. I think it was a decent episode, just not a great episode, which is a bit of a shame because it's Shooty's first proper story, and I was hoping we'd get a real banger, if I'm honest, whereas this one was just just a little bit too middle of the I was going to say middle of the road, too middle of the Ruby Road for me. I would have liked something just a little bit more, like you said. I'd like to have someone pick me up off the floor saying, wow, that was a great episode, whereas I was more like, it was all right. So yeah, which is a little bit, it's sort of almost more annoying than it being bad, if you like. It's that thing of it just being okay.
True.
In some ways you either want it to be, it was awful, it was dreadful, or you want it to be amazing, but it was just okay. What did you think? Were you picked up off the floor? Was your wife, Gary, come get off the floor, it was really good?
Yeah, fanning me, come on, slapping my face, come on, wake up.
Come on.
I thought that Shooty was amazing.
Yes, I would agree. I'm really liking him already. Yeah.
Yes, I think he's bringing a very fresh, energetic, new take on the Doctor, which is what we obviously need with a new Doctor. And although we saw him quite a bit in the last one, this was his first, obviously, big, solo outing, and it was he was great. The episode itself, though, I felt was a bit throwaway. And I do think that now. I think it's just a bit of a... But then maybe that's just the curse, of the Doctor Who Christmas special. Maybe that's just the thing, because if you go back since Doctor Who's been back, since 2005, none of the Christmas specials... There's probably, fans of them out there that will disagree, but on the most, for the most part, the Christmas specials are the ones where... you don't really sort of think about too much. They have their nice little moments here and there, and some of them look pretty cool and stuff, but you just, they're just pretty forgettable. And I think this falls into that bucket for me. And so, although I enjoyed the episode, I didn't finish watching it and then think, that's, Doctor Who's gone, immediately downhill before it's even started. I didn't think that. I did think it was, a fairly enjoyable watch. It was just, that... I think Russell has done well to write a couple of stories, this one and the last one, with the Toymaker. I think he's done well to write a couple of stories in a confined space. And what I mean by that is, although we've had some big sort of lore-busting things happen, especially in the Toymaker one with the whole bi-generation, all that stuff, I think the actual stories themselves, they've had to be written to be put in a little box. And what I mean by that is the 60th anniversary specials were just that. They were a series of specials, and that was it. And then the Christmas special one, this one, again, that was it. That's just an isolated little story to tell for Christmas Day. So again, although that lays a little bit of groundwork for what we might or probably will see throughout either this series or the next one, it's it's a bit like opposite Moffat. With a lot of the Moffat stories, it's like, come on now, we've watched 6 episodes. Is this arc gonna finish?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And we're still waiting for that to finish,
exactly
2 series down the road. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's like, come on now, what's going on here? Whereas this is the opposite. It's like, I've got an hour to tell you a story just for Christmas. So I think at the moment, it just feels like the train's not moving. Because like with some of the previous stuff that we've seen back in series, especially series 3 and 4 with the old Tennant stuff, on some of those stories, it felt like they weren't laying the tracks fast enough for the train that was like thundering down, because it was just bang, 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 great story after great story. And so I think it's like Russell's just had to adapt a little bit just for these ones, just to tell a little concise little story. So I think from once we get into the series proper, whenever that lands. Oh, we got the date for that, didn't we? Is it May?
May, yeah.
End of May, I think.
I like the fact we've got the day already, yeah.
Yeah, so I think once we get to those things, it will just open up a lot more. And
definitely.
Exactly, yeah. So we'll see, characters that are not just with us for one episode and, returning, all that stuff. So, yeah, in a nutshell, dude. Because we have things like the hooded woman who dropped off Ruby at the church. That's going to come out at some point.
Any thoughts on who you think that might be?
I've got 2 theories on that one.
Oh, go for it.
I think
that's
like
a theory.
I think that's going to be Ruby herself.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be one of those kind of paradoxical time loop things. And she's kind of saved herself, if you know what I mean. And that was a requirement because she knew that the Doctor was going to be there to save her. She puts so it's a bit of a weird one, but I think that's Ruby herself. The other one, which is a bit of a stretch maybe, is Mrs. Flood. So the other character that we got introduced to in this episode, which I'm pretty sure will come back at some point.
Yes.
Who obviously knows what's going on. Because we have that very cool little moment where it's a bit of a fourth wall thing, isn't it? Where she looks into the camera. She's like, what's the matter? You've never seen a TARDIS before. Mm-hmm. So I think it's either her or Ruby. So I'm not sure. What about you?
We are thinking along the same lines there.
Yep.
Those are the 2 that I thought. Because I know a lot of people have seen the picture of the woman in the hood walking towards the church, and the boots look like the 13th Doctor boots, and you can see that she's got these high-legged trousers on, so people were theorising it's the 13th Doctor, and it intrigues me that Shooter's Doctor didn't run after her. It's almost as if he just looks, it's almost as if he knows already who it is, so I was thinking, I don't know if that's significant, but that could play into it. So I thought maybe it's Ruby, because she mentioned the fact that she's got no DNA. Davina McCall said, didn't she? We can't find any DNA for you. So she's a bit of a mystery again. So it could be Ruby, like you said, in some sort of weird paradox thing. I'm very intrigued by Mrs. Flood and who Mrs. Flood is. And I do wonder if it could be her in some sort of weird way. Could she even be like Ruby's mum, who's been living next to her all this time? And I don't know. There's just something about Mrs. Flood that I'm very intrigued by. And the fact she knows what a TARDIS is and all this sort of thing. It does open up to all sorts of theories. People are saying Rani again. People always say the Rani. They're saying it could be... who's the other characters? They said... I don't know. There's lots of theories out there for Mrs. Flood. Could even be an interpretation of Missy and all this sort of stuff. But I don't know. I feel like she could be something more simple, like, Ruby. Could even be an older Ruby, Could be Ruby from the future living next door to... No, that would be a paradox, wouldn't it? Anyway, yeah. I'm intrigued by the character, mate, yeah. And I agree. Those are the 2 thoughts I had as well. I don't think it'll be the 13th Doctor. Even though the boots do look exactly like hers. They're even the laces are undone like the 13th Doctor's. But it would be interesting, actually, if they did somehow get Jodie in there. That would be quite a shock. If she took the hood down like she did in her reveal video.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, hey, it was me. I don't know. We'll see. But I can't see that happening.
Yeah, who knows? So that's probably going to come to light in 5 years' time, I would say.
No, not that long.
Everyone's going to forget about this. That's my prediction anyway. Everyone will forget about this scene, and then we'll have 3 or 4 seasons of new Doctor Who, and then there'll be some kind of plot twist or something in an upcoming season finale, like in the next 4 or 5 years, and then that scene will be revisited, and everyone will have that. Oh, do you remember that right at the beginning? You
know he's waiting in the wings to do this, don't you? The old mothball.
The old mothbag.
He sat there leaning against the wall with his glass of red wine going, waiting to be called into the writing room. I'll leave this to me. I've got an idea.
Yeah, he'll get the phone call. Yeah. He'll be like, took you long enough. Stuck, are you? Stuck, are we? Need a hand? Funny that. Well, this is going to cost you.
Need a timey-wimey solution across 3 series. I'm your man.
Now, this is going to cost you. How much wine you got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to cost you a crate.
No, I'd be serious, dude. I don't think we're going to be revisiting this scene for a good long while yet.
No, well, I don't know. I think we...
Yeah, this will be Ruby's exit finale thingy in a few years.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Gosh. I can't believe there's already talk of them leaving after 2 series as well. So I hope it's hope that's not true. I hope we don't get to see her exit too, that quickly. Well, that's the other thing. I am quite finding Ruby quite likable already. She's both the Doctor and Ruby, I think, have got this great chemistry already, and I instantly like her as a character. So I'm really looking forward to seeing more of these two together. So I'm hoping the rumours aren't true that they're going after 2 series.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it, with Doctor Who? As soon as you have new people in to play...
It's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah.
When are you leaving?
When you going? I've only been here a week.
I think Eccleston, was it Eccleston? Yeah, got asked that like in his first interview. So you're just taking over as the Doctor now. Now, how long are you staying for and when are you leaving?
It's like the most... like any other normal person, when they start a new job, that'd be pretty soul-destroying, wouldn't it, on your first day? Oh, nice to meet you. Yeah, I've just
when
started.
Are you off?
When you leave, you'd be like, oh... Wrong move.
How long are you staying for? I don't know. Let me get in the TARDIS first. Yeah.
So,
just back to the
go on. No, go on, Dick. Back to.
No, I was just going to say, just sort of back to the story. It was a bit ploddy, I think, wasn't it? That's the thing with the actual story. You were saying earlier that it was, well, I was saying that it was sort of stuck in this one gear. I thought it was enjoyable, and we got introduced to some nice characters, but it was a bit ploddy in places. It was quite talky. But I think it's a hard thing, because what Russell's trying to do, I guess, is make Doctor Who feel fresh and new, which I think I can see why he cast Ncuti, because Ncuti definitely has got this energy to him, which is, I think is given the show a bit of a boost. But also I think he's trying to make it feel familiar and like the Doctor Who that we know and loved. And I think it almost felt like a little bit of a retread of what he always does. I was going to say retread of Rose, but it's kind of what Russell always does when he introduces like a new family and everything, or a new companion, is he very much concentrates that episode on the new companion and introducing their sort of family and backstory, which is again what he did here, which was all well and good. I mean, we got to meet Ruby's, the woman who's adopted Ruby and all this sort of thing, her mum, and that was all good, and it's to get to know those characters. But it did also, for a Christmas special that you just want to sort of be a bit of a roller coaster, it did also make it feel a little bit ploddy. Okay, we're getting to know all these new people, and so I think that's why at times I was getting a little bit frustrated with it. I wanted the story to sort of move on, rather than sort of finding out about all this other sort of backstory stuff, really. But the characters that we've been introduced to were fairly likable. I mean, I do like her mum, her adoptive mum. What was the character called? This is another one where we're going to be back to not knowing names. Was it
Carla,
Trudy?
Carla Sunday.
Carla. Who's Trudy? I'm looking at the cast list. Anyway, yeah.
Trudy.
So I was liking the characters that we were introduced to, but I was just finding there was a lot of scenes where I was just wanting the story to move on a bit, rather than being stuck in their house having another conversation, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think that's Russell doing his usual.
Yeah. I mean, he's done it before. Just sort of thought his writing just seemed a little bit slow paced in this one. And the thing was actually, mate, sorry, this is what I was leading to, and I sort of lost my thread a little bit. In the commentary for this, Russell was saying that, the scene where the Doctor has the giant snowman head fall on him and then he sort of punches the eye out, and then he starts talking to the policeman near the beginning. It's when he's sort of following Ruby. That was a very late edition and was only recently filmed, and it was actually Disney who asked Russell to put that scene in, because they felt like, the episode was drifting on, but we hadn't seen much of the Doctor. They're like, we need to see more of the Doctor early on, because it's all about Ruby and stuff. And I think this is the point I was trying to get to with Russell, that he does like to concentrate on the new companion, their family and all that, which is all well and good. But I have to agree with Disney on this. I was thinking, if you took that scene out, we would have seen hardly anything of the Doctor for a good 25 minutes, half an hour of the episode, which is half the episode, and it definitely needed that scene. And I thought it was a fun scene as well, with the big giant snowman. So I thought, gosh, come on, Russell, Like the fact that Disney Plus had to give him that note and say to them, I think Russell should have been thinking that. He should have been watching the early cut and thinking, yeah, gosh, the Doctor's not in this very much. I better put in another scene there. And because it definitely needed it, I think. If you next time you watch it, if you imagine not having that scene in there, it's a long time before we actually get to see the Doctor. And I don't know if he was trying to do a bit of a 10th Doctor thing of, waiting for the big reveal or something. I don't know. But I think it definitely benefited from having that scene put in, even if it was like a really late addition.
Yeah, I agree, dude. Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's interesting, isn't it, that because if you follow I think Russell has a bit of a formula with these things, which you can tell a mile off with the whole spending a lot of time with Ruby's family and her mum and all that stuff. Russell does that quite a lot, like he did it a lot with Rose and her mum and
I'm thinking like Martha and that, her family and everything, yeah.
Yeah, so the whole family closeness relationship side of things, he does that quite a lot. It's not a bad thing, but he does that, where everyone's just, I think he's trying to build relatability. So a lot of these characters, you can hopefully relate to them in some way, rather than them just being, throwaway characters.
And I do feel like the characters he's introduced, like Carla, and that they do seem likeable. I have instantly sort of warmed to them and want to see more of them. I haven't seen this mentioned anywhere online, mate, but it's that scene with the snowman, is that the building that Rose worked in, or does it just look really similar? Was that Fenrick's building?
Oh, I'm not sure. I didn't make that connection.
I saw it and I assumed it was, but I haven't seen anyone else mention it. So I mean, obviously there's no connection there. I just was curious whether they'd thought that'd be a quirky little thing to do, to go back to the building from Rose, the first episode. But I haven't seen anyone mention it, so maybe it isn't. But it looked a lot like it, though.
Could be, dude. Could be. Yeah, I've not seen anyone say that, but you could be the first person, mate, to make that connection.
Could be, eagle-eyed.
Yeah, and I think just following on from what you were saying, I think that scene that they injected with the whole snowman thing and what you just mentioned, that I think that plays into the bad luck vibe that was running through the episode as well. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things, isn't it, that we have as a bit of a story plot, I guess, is Ruby having all this bad luck, which results in, certain things happening. And so I think the Doctor gets to share in that little bit of bad luck a little bit, but because of what he has at his disposal. He's not like your average person like Ruby is at the beginning of the episode. Like the first 20 minutes, all these crappy things are happening and she's like, I've got terrible luck. The Doctor seems to have that, but then with the Sonic and other stuff, he like averts it a little bit. So
yeah, it's funny. I've noticed a little bit of a theme running there as well, isn't there? The Doctor said something towards the end of "Am I the bad luck?" And I thought, what's it? Because there was this thing about superstition in one of the specials as well, wasn't there? With the the 14th Doctor, where he said, "Oh, I've created some bad luck at the end of the universe." So I just wonder if this is a little thread that Russell's putting in, because Mrs. Flood wishes Ruby good luck as she gets in the TARDIS and stuff. I don't know, this whole good luck, bad luck thing seems to be just sort of keep getting put in there. So I wonder if that's a thing.
It could be, dude. They have mentioned it a few times now.
Yeah.
And in this story, it is kind of the thing that drives, because we have Davina McCall, like she inherits the bad luck as well, doesn't she? Like after she's met Ruby and she even phones her and like, look, how do I get rid of this? Like I've caught bad luck from you, which is ridiculous when you say it out loud. But but that seems to be the thing, dude. It could be a thing that comes up a bit more.
Death by Christmas tree again.
Yeah. Should we talk about some goblins?
Go on then. Are we going to sing?
No.
Actually, no. Actually, I must ask you. No, let's talk about goblins, and then we'll talk about the song and how that fitted in and stuff. But yeah, go on. Let's talk goblins.
So goblins, dude. And I think Russell did mention at some point over the last week or two, or maybe a month, that he felt like the door was left open a little bit to add a little bit of fantasy and strangeness into Doctor Who via way of the Toymakers episode. Because he felt that the Toymaker was essentially a fantasy character.
Yeah.
And after writing all that and thinking about what to do with the Christmas special, you know, he's kind of on this vibe, you know, let's have some weird fantasy stuff happening. Not too crazy, not like, you know, the Dark Crystal or you know, any of that craziness, but let's have some creatures and fantasy stuff that we've not seen too much in Doctor Who. And I think, could be wrong, so listener, if I'm wrong on this, do tell me, but I'm pretty sure he sent the script to the Mothbag. And Mothballs was like, dude, you've nailed it with this whole goblin thing. Like, why haven't we used goblins more in Doctor Who? So I think that's the justification for having something like, you know, he could have chosen anything. Could be orcs, could be, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But the goblins was a thing. So I think having them in Doctor Who was a cool thing. And I really liked how they were introduced, where you don't see them properly at first. You just see like
the little hand,
like the little hand sort of, and you saw like their feet disappear over the top of a building, and like the evil little chuckle and stuff like that. So I think the way that they were introduced was very cool. That sort of mysterious sort of thing, and then their whole flying ship, that felt very sort of 80s cartoon to me. That was very cool. Loved all that. But I think once we actually saw them in the flesh, so to speak, and when the song kicked off, and then later on when we saw the Goblin King properly and all that stuff, it felt a little bit like they were introduced to the story really well, but then later on it was like they were there for the sake of being there after that.
Yeah, I'd 100% agree. They're totally wasted, really, because I think I like, I might be in the minority here, but I liked the idea of goblins in a Christmas special. It just seems like something familiar, but something Doctor Who hasn't done before. I think there was comparisons to Labyrinth and things like that. And I think you're right. They worked really well for the first part of the story. You know, like you said, the little chuckles, the being mischievous, creating all these problems, and then we get the song. And again, I'm probably in the minority. I didn't mind the song at all. I think it fitted in quite well, and just, if anything, made the episode a little bit more interesting. I was surprised when the Doctor and Ruby started singing, though, because obviously we knew about the song in advance because it was released as a single, and I think it got to #1 in the iTunes chart, which is crazy. But we didn't know that when the song finished, that the Doctor and Ruby then start the song again. Were you surprised when they started singing? And how did you feel about it? Because that's the bit I'm not totally on board with. It didn't really bother me. I know some people hated it. But when the Doctor started singing, I was like, okay, we are definitely going into new territory now. You know, like, but I didn't mind it, if I'm honest. I thought it worked fine. But what did you think? Was it a little bit of a step too far, or did you think it was fun?
Fairly sameish for me on that. I didn't mind it. It started to
you
feel
didn't sit there and think, oh, this is ridiculous, the Doctor's singing now. You know, you weren't like that, because there were a lot of people, and I do get why. But for me personally, because I'm a lot more forgiving, I think, with a Christmas special, I think it's just about having fun.
Exactly.
So it didn't bother me at all. I was kind of like, oh my God, the Doctor's singing now. Right, okay. You know, and not a bad voice. So, you know. Yeah,
not bad
at all. If it had been terrible, I might have been sat there going, oh, God, make it stop. But it didn't. Yeah, I thought it was all right.
No, it wasn't. I wasn't. No, I didn't mind it. Like, just exactly as you just said it, though. I think sometimes with the old Crimbo specials, they are meant to be. They're meant to be more fun and a bit more whimsical than your average episode, I guess, in that respect. Yeah. So no, it wasn't dreadful. I think if they had gone on for too long, I would have, I would have been, oh, come on.
Or if they started doing like a share and going into mega auto-tune and, you know, and then like a load of dancers come out. So if it got ridiculous, but I thought it was just a bit of fun. And you're right, it was a pretty short scene. It didn't really go on. But I just want to come back to what you're saying about the goblins and the Goblin King as well, mate, because I do feel like they were wasted. Because I like the idea of these crazy goblins, and I like the idea of this big evil Goblin King at the end of this, you know, food ramp. But he didn't do anything other than go, you know, it was, I just felt, like they were introduced, but then there was no threat or anything from them, really. It did seem a little bit of a wasted opportunity, I think. And I didn't realise that the Goblin King was an actual prop until I watched the making of, because I assumed it was CGI. It looked CGI to me, but I think what it was the Goblin King was a prop, and do correct me if I'm wrong, but the background was CGI. So weirdly, it had the opposite effect. You know, it made the Goblin King look sort of animated more than the backdrop. But I think he was a real thing, because Millie Gibson talks about having selfies with it and stuff. So there must have been something there, let's put it that way, to represent the Goblin King.
Yeah, it was definitely a physical.
Yeah, I'm sure
prop
they
and
said,
stuff.
because they were like, even the tongue sticks out. It's a bit like, again, reminded me of the old Return of the Jedi behind the scenes, where they've got physical props and people moving them and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So goblins
Maybe they overlaid a bit of CGI. Yeah.
Maybe they did, mate. Yeah, the eyes and the mouth, and
Yeah.
to make it a bit more
Yeah,
expressive.
they probably enhanced him.
Yeah. So I think overall the goblins they look very cool, like design-wise, great, all that stuff, introduced well. Just a bit of because you felt like they were going to have a bit of a comeback, because they seemingly rescue Lulu Bell from the first, when they start singing, and then the Doctor goes into this cool kind of detective mode, where he figures out that the goblins, obviously because they're not human, they have this other kind of language embedded into their structures and everything, with all the ropes and everything. So he starts to figure that out and sort that out. And then they rescue the baby to go back. And then a bit later on, you see the lightning start happening outside, and the Doctor looks worried. So you know that the goblins are back, and you think, oh, okay, there's now a chance for them to, we can see how evil they are and all that stuff. But again, just kind of went nowhere a little bit with those guys. So great little fantasy creatures to have in Doctor Who. Just a wee bit of a missed opportunity, a little bit.
Yeah, and also the way they were taken out at the end as well was over in a flash, wasn't it? It was a little bit, another really quick wrap up, and also the ship so the Goblin King gets spiked on the church spire, and then the ship just disintegrates and it's all over. It was a little bit like, was it the Star Beast, where we said about the roads repairing themselves? It's just a quick, okay, that's done then, let's move on. And I thought, that's I expect a little bit better from Russell's writing, considering some of the stuff he's given us in the past. It does seem like he did another quick wrap up on this one. I mean, why did the ship disintegrate? I wasn't a fan of the quick wrap up with this. It just made the goblins and the Goblin King just feel so easily defeated, and that's that done. Then let's move on. As if they were just what's the word I'm looking for? Just a little. They weren't the main sort of plot point. It was just there as something to see. Okay, let's move on. The main driving force of the plot, if you like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I read you did, and I think that goes back to what I was saying earlier about Russell having to write these little kind of semi-isolated stories before we get into the proper seasons as they begin. So he has to wrap them up in a bow reasonably quickly to some degree.
Yeah.
Because we haven't kicked off like a big proper arc yet. So, and I think this falls into that bucket quite well. Like you said at the end, it kind of, you can see the runtime and you think, right, okay, there's 7 minutes left. This has to end pretty quick now and get it wrapped up. So, and it does, just like the Star Beast. Yeah,
I liked the idea of it getting spiked. I thought, okay, on the church, that's cool. But it just, like you just said, it just felt like the goblins themselves could have been utilised a bit more, and the Goblin King in particular could have been utilised better in the story, I felt.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about a few characters then. So we had one character that was in it quite a lot was Ruby's foster mum.
Carla.
Carla Sunday. And she was played by Michelle Greenidge, and she was she had a real nice warmth to her. That bit in the story up until the bit where Ruby almost gets erased, and she doesn't recognise her. And she gets a bit cold. So as an actress, she did that really well. We had that switch that went off, where she goes from this real lovely warm, and you can see why she's adopted and looked after so many kids in the past, because she has this lovely way about her, and she was really cool. But then when that switch goes off, she has that coldness about her.
Yeah.
So that was a really good performance from her, and some good interactions between her and Ruby as well. which is very
Yeah,
cool.
no, I like her. I recognise her. I'm sure I've seen her in quite a few things over the years, actually. Michelle Greenidge. But yeah, that was a good scene, wasn't it? I liked the way the house changed from being like this bright, warm, cozy environment to this, to being like really dark and, grimy. And her character, like you said, the change in her character was quite subtle but very noticeable as well. It was I really liked that part of the story. I thought that was quite interesting, and she played it really well, actually.
Yeah,
when she was
yeah.
being like the doctor was trying to talk to her about, but don't you want your kids and all this, and she's like, I only do it for the money, and it was really quite, oh wow, it's a totally sort of different side to her character, and I thought, yeah, she played that really well. I thought.
Yes, yeah, same. And then we also had another woman in it who popped up a couple of times, Cherry Sunday. She was bedridden and she was just complaining all the time. Nobody was bringing her a cup of tea. And
yeah, she was fun.
Yeah, she was really funny. My wife really liked that character.
I did as well. I liked it when the doctor's like stood in her doorway and she's being all funny with him and stuff. Yeah, she was cool. That's the thing. I like, again, though, I want to see more of Carla and Cherry. They just seem like a fun place people to hang out with. Yeah, I do like the characters.
Yeah, they were cool. What about old Davina then, as herself, interviewing
Davina.
Ruby? Just being Davina, really. There's nothing else to... Well,
no,
don't know
she
about
sounded
you,
a little croaky, didn't she? Did you? I think maybe she'd had what you've got. Her voice sounded like it was about to crack. I think maybe she was a bit under the weather. No, performance-wise, I guess, like you said, she's playing herself. But it was intriguing because I wondered how she was going to fit into it when she was announced. It was almost like a guest star. I was like, well, how is Davina McCall going to be in this? But of course, she's presenting a show like the one she does in real life, so it did work for me. I thought she was fine in it, and her performance was perfectly good. And when she got saved by the doctor at the end, and it's like "Merry Christmas, Davina McCall," it was a bit cheesy, but I went with it. No, I thought she was fine in it. I actually quite liked her in it.
Yeah, hasn't Davina lent her voice to? Remember the old Eccleston episode, Bad Wolf? When they go to the game station.
Oh yeah,
and it was based on Big Brother back in the day.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
I think she might have lent her voice to that before.
I think she did. Yeah, she probably said, please do not swear or something. I don't know. Yeah, I think she is a voice in it.
Yeah, so it was
right, yeah.
It was cool to see her, but she wasn't cast as a character. She was just being typical Davina, but she's
Just
very cool.
herself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I bet she had a lot of fun. Like when the tree's going towards her and she's going, ah, and stuff. I would imagine she had fun on set.
Yeah. Okay, and we've spoken about Mrs. Flood, so Anita Dobson.
Yes, I like her already. I'm very intrigued because she's one of these that, is she nice or is she nasty? Yeah, I love it when you get a character like that, especially played by, an actress that is sort of fairly well known, but has got that sort of diverse range of, because it's all in the wink, isn't it? You think she's nice, and then she gives you this sort of slightly look or wink to the camera. You think, God, is she good or bad? Like, I really liked her. I'm very intrigued by her. I do hope we see more of her. I'm sure we will.
Yeah, well, I think we will. Maybe the clue's in the name. Maybe.
Do you reckon? Flood? What can you make out of that?
Don't know.
Miss Dufflo. Can see Ood. Miss Ood.
Who knows?
No, I can't. Anyway.
Wasn't, no. That's a different thing. But yeah, maybe we'll, actually no, we'll definitely see her back at some point. Maybe,
I'm sure.
Maybe one of our theories are correct.
Do you think she's going to be a goodie or a baddie, though? What's your gut feeling?
My gut feeling she's going to be a goodie.
You reckon?
Yeah. That's my gut feeling.
I'm not so sure.
You're not so sure.
Anyway,
you're a bit more cynical.
Yeah.
You're like, got my eye on this one.
I'm just, yeah, I don't know. I get a slightly sinister vibe. I'm almost waiting for her to turn really evil, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Okay, what about Millie Gibson then as our new companion, Ruby Sunday? I think, yeah, sorry, mate. Just while I get my notes out, what do you reckon on Millie?
I liked her. I liked the character. I think we've got a lot more to learn about her. because it was, we sort of got to know her backstory with the family, but we didn't get to know an awful lot about Ruby. And she is another one of the companions that's become a bit of a mystery, which I'm not sure. I think that's been done a little bit too much recently in Doctor Who. The whole, where is she from? There's no DNA and all this sort of stuff. But I am intrigued by it, and I thought Millie Gibson gave a good performance. As I said, instantly likeable. The rapport between her and Ncuti was great. They seem really fun together. They've got that sort of banter between the two of them, which I liked. Like when they were tied up and the conversation they were having there and stuff. They're fun together. That's what I feel. And I think she's going to be a great counterpart to Ncuti's Doctor. So yes, I thought Millie was really good in this. I'm hoping she'll go on to be a great classic companion. I definitely get that vibe from her. And she's a good actor as well. I thought her performance was good because I think she's only like 18, 19. She's quite young, but she's definitely got what it takes, I think, to be a good companion. And her acting was good. Yeah, I felt some emotions from some of the stuff she was delivering. So yeah, she was good in my opinion.
Oh, nice, dude. Yeah, I agree with that.
I like her already.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think she's, as a Millie Gibson as an actress, is very, very cool. Kind of mature. A very mature performance in a way, given her age. Yeah. Because the opening bit, not so much. And not in a bad way, but you just saw her as like, typical, young girl just out and about playing with her band, doing all that stuff. But then as soon as this whole thing with the goblins kick in and all that sort of stuff, she naturally kicks into that mode where she's like, she just seems a bit more mature past her years.
I know what you mean. Yeah. She's got a feisty side to her, which I like. I think she's going to be one of these that gets stuck in and doesn't take any nonsense as well, which I like.
Yeah. And then as a character, it's kind of interesting that Russell's gone down this route because it is not really what he does with companions. This is more sort of the thing that the Mothbag did with companions. So what I mean is, when we first met Rose, she was just an average person working in a department store. Just so happens to be caught up in everything that's going on with the Doctor. The same with Martha. She was just a doctor, wasn't she, in a hospital, and she gets wrapped up in it all. It wasn't until we get to Moffat's kind of stuff where, with Amy Pond and stuff, right off the bat, that was a very mysterious character.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? She wasn't like your average.
Clara, the mysterious girl and all that sort of thing.
Exactly. So Russell's gone down that road now where he's immediately sort of wrapped this character up into mystery. Like she's not what she appears to be with the whole, so it's interesting that he's gone down that road now rather than his typical, this is just your everyday girl about town, happens to bump into the Doctor and that's it.
Yeah, it depends how it plays out, mate, because I'm not sure how happy I am about that, because I just kind of want things, because those are mysterious girls type things, they don't always work out. So it really depends how, like the thing with Clara, I don't think the resolution to her thing was that great, but it depends how it plays out with Ruby. But it also, I kind of just want the series to get back to the Doctor going on adventures. Like the amount of stuff they delved into in the Doctor's backstory during the Moffat era and even Chibnall with the Timeless Child and stuff. Let's just get away from all that. Let's not concentrate on too much of this mystery about the Doctor, mystery about the companion. Let's just have the Doctor and the companion land on planets and stuff and have adventures. I just don't want it getting too bogged down in that stuff, to be honest. I think we've had a lot of that for New Who. I'd like to see if they are going to freshen up a bit, let's get away from it. But it's not to say that that's where they're going with Ruby. There is a little bit of me that worries that Russell might be trying to Moffat to make another mysterious girl, and I think, I don't really need that at this point in the show. But we'll see. It depends how it plays out, mate.
Yeah, true. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
Yes. And then Ncuti then, our new Doctor with his proper own episode now. I've got pretty much the same thoughts as when we reviewed the third special with him. In that he's just a fireball, dude. He's just like it feels to me like when he was filming these episodes, he woke up and had a gallon of custard, a whole bucket of blue Smarties, and all the E numbers, and then he's just, just darting around and running around, and like every single line that he delivers, even when he's trying to be fairly calm and not be so zany, he's got like just an energy about him. He just leaps off the screen at you, and do you know what, dude? I think that's in this new era of Doctor Who. I really think that's needed. Mm-hmm. I really think that's needed because we with Jodie's Doctor to a degree, I think she tried to do that, but it ended up just coming across as very expositionally waffly, in your face a lot, and you just, after a few seconds you're like, oh, shut up. I don't mean to sound too harsh, but it was just like, she's banging on again, about stuff. Whereas when Ncuti is got that energetic feel to it, I don't know, it's got like it just lands different.
Yes, I absolutely agree, mate.
Do you know what I mean?
He's a bundle of energy, and he's personally, I think he comes across as very likable. It's a lot of the performance, I think, when it comes down to liking a performance, is down to the facial reactions. Like, he's always got this big grin on his face, but then when he needs to be serious, I mean, there's a bit where they're talking about adoption and stuff, and the Doctor says, I don't know where I'm from. And I thought, oh God, it's the Timeless Child's getting another nod. But again, the way he delivered it and the performance, it's all on the face. He looks a little bit lost, a bit sad. He's, again, Ncuti's a young guy, but he's got some, his acting is of a great standard already. Yeah. I think he's got some good acting chops on him. Like you said, full of energy. Like when he's darting across that roof, I'm guessing it's a set. I know he's not up high, but he's jumping across those blimmin' chimney pots and jumping on the ladder, and and he's got we haven't talked about them, but he's got those gloves on. What were they called? Intelligent gloves or something, which I was like, what the hell? I'm not sure about those, but they just remind me a little bit of the Doctor's sonic shades. It's something else he's brought out of the wardrobe that I'm like, we don't need to see them every episode, but once is okay. But yeah, going back to Ncuti, I just find him instantly likable, mate. He has depth to his Doctor already. I feel that he can be fun, he can be quirky, and he can also deliver the serious bits when needed to. So yes, I'm really liking him already, and most of all, I just can't wait to see more of his Doctor in action, which is what I want. I want to have a Doctor that I'm invested in, because that's what's been missing for me personally the last few years. And again, don't want to keep bashing Jodie, but I just couldn't get on board with her interpretation of the Doctor. And when you don't feel anything towards the lead character, you really start to lose interest in the show. And so with Ncuti, even though this wasn't the best episode, and I'm really hoping it's not going to be another Matt Smith scenario where we have a great Doctor with very subpar episodes, he has instantly got me sort of looking forward to seeing him every week, if you know what I mean, as much as watching the stories, which is, what I want from a new Doctor. Yeah,
it's like Blake 7 all over again, mate.
Blake!
You just can't relate to the character, can you? The lead guy.
Blake, that's why he had to go.
I'm joking, of course. Blake. Started watching Blake 7 over Christmas.
Did you? Now, how far have you got? Because this must be your 5th attempt.
Same as I always got.
Episode 3, and you've dipped out again.
No, episode 2.
Oh, is it episode 2? Right,
End of episode 2. And
I'm going to have to come round and reenact the whole Clockwork Orange thing and force your eyes open and get you to watch all 4 series, because I know you'd love it if you actually got into it. You just got to get past those first few episodes.
Yeah, I read you, man. I will do it. I will do it at some point.
You will.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, yeah. So Ncuti, mate. Yeah, absolutely loving him at the minute as the Doctor. And I honestly feel like once we get into the series proper, I think it'll open up a lot more. We won't have to... Because you were just saying that these intelligent gloves and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's, again, it's another thing that adds into the whole, let's get this story moving along and get stuff done as quickly as possible. Because they felt a little bit like...
Convenience.
Very convenient, very Tony Stark. You're like, yeah, we need to accomplish this thing. Oh, by the way, I've just invented this thing that does exactly the thing we need to do. Do you know what I mean? So I think once we get into the series and it's opened up a lot more and we can explore stuff and do things over a longer period of time, more episodes and stuff, I really feel like it won't feel as wrapped up as conveniently as... There might be the odd bit here and there, but... Yeah, I think it will be a lot better. I think Ncuti as the Doctor will benefit a lot more from that. So if we think that he's very cool now with these little isolated stories, I think once we see him sort of come to life even more over the series, it'll be very cool. So yeah, I think we're loving Ncuti, mate, at the minute. He's very cool.
We are. And how at home does he feel already in the TARDIS? That's the thing that really makes me just instantly see him as the Doctor. You know, that panning shot at the end where it just zooms up to him, you know, on in the TARDIS gantry, and he's like, "I'm the Doctor." I'm like, "Yeah, you are. You have made that TARDIS console room your home immediately." He just feels at home in there. So, yeah, I can't wait for a full series with him, mate. I'm looking forward to seeing other people write some episodes as well. Not to say these specials or anything by Russell have been bad. They haven't. They've been enjoyable, but they have been a little bit more lightweight than I would have liked in certain places. So I am looking forward to seeing, hopefully, some other writers tackling, you know, this Doctor and Ruby to see how they write them and what they come up with.
Yes. Yeah, agreed.
I noticed Mavity got another mention, by the way.
Mavity
That's
did.
still a thing.
Still a thing, mate.
And I'm like, Ruby doesn't correct him, so does that mean it has become just the word, the way it's said? Or is it that she didn't hear him because they were up a ladder? You know, so that's still lingering. I still think that's going to come back as something bigger.
That probably will, yeah.
Because it just keeps getting put in there, yeah.
Yes. Anything else on your notes, bud, before we put a score on it?
There was something. What was it? I thought the music was too overbearing. I know we always talk about the music at the end. There were scenes where I just couldn't hear what they were saying. Towards the middle of the episode, and I thought it was just me getting old, but I saw a lot of people comment on it, especially the guys from the Doctor Who show, which I listen to regularly, said the same thing. Like, the dialogue was completely drowned out. The music just got a little bit too overbearing at times as well. There was sort of too much of it, even though a lot of it was good and really nice. There was just too much music in it, and sometimes it was just too loud. So nice stuff, Murray, but turn it down. It's on 11 at the minute. Turn it down to an 8 so we can actually hear what they're saying, because it did drown out a lot of stuff, I thought. Yeah.
No, I'd agree with that, mate.
And just lastly, mate, new Sonic. I know you said when we talked about it before that you like it.
I don't mind
I'm going to say now I've seen it on screen properly, I don't like it at all.
Oh.
I just don't like it. And also, that was one of the things Russell said in that scene that he added with the snowman. He said that is now the first appearance of the Sonic, whereas until he added that scene in, it was just going to be in the scene where they're escaping from the goblin ship, you know, where they're tied up, when he said actually you hardly see it. So he is glad that he now put that other scene in, because the Doctor sort of waves it at the camera. But I don't like that new Sonic at all, and I want to like it. You know, I love a Sonic, but of course it won't stop me buying the toy when it comes out.
No,
but,
of course.
No, of course. But I'm not a fan of that new Sonic at the minute. It might grow on me. We'll see. But I know you like it, right? You think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't mind it, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, you like it. Oh.
Yeah. I'm not going to rush off to buy the rubber toe 300, 500 pound.
No, I'm going to wait
replica.
for the character options $14.99 one.
One that falls apart. Yeah.
Yeah, the one that you press a button, it lights up and then falls apart. Yeah, that's the one I want.
Samesies. Yeah. Alrighty, let's whack a score on this then. You to go
Let's
first.
go for it.
Yep.
Me
Yep.
first, is it? I'm going to go for a 7.5 out of 10.
Good score.
Enjoyable, but just not quite there.
I'm feeling like a 6.5, dude, for me.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ooh. I'm feeling that most of that score is down to Ncuti and Millie Gibson.
Yes.
And also Michelle Greenidge and Anita Dobson. I feel like the performances were very, very cool. But the story itself, a little bit throwaway, mate. Just a little bit meh.
Do you know what? You're absolutely right, mate. Because actually, if you imagine this story and the performances not being very good, So let's say, and I don't mean to be cruel, but I'm just using this example. Let's say like some of the acting we saw during the Jodie era, which was cringe as hell. Imagine those sort of actors with this paper thin type story. Disastrous.
Yeah.
So you make a good point, actually. A lot of this is thanks to the cast being on really good form and bringing this story up. And that's why I compared it to the Matt Smith thing. Like Shooty, Millie and everyone else really bring this story up from being like a 4 or 5 because it's pretty thin, but performance wise it's got emotion in there, and that's down to the actors making the most of what they've been given. So very good point there, mate. They definitely bring this story up.
Yeah, and I think in a couple of years time when somebody mentions the Christmas special, I think the only thing that you'll be able to say is that the one with the goblins? Like, you won't remember Davina Cole being in it. You won't remember all the bad luck stuff. You won't remember, exactly what happened. It'll just be, oh, isn't that the one with the goblins?
Yes, I absolutely agree. Yeah, because that's why I was worried whether I should rewatch it again last night, because I was like, I was thinking about what I was going to talk about today. And like you said, I was trying to think, what was in it? Like goblins, yeah. So I know exactly what you mean. Just quickly before we wrap up, mate, can I just ask you if you thought the next trailer that we got, what did you think of it? Just very briefly. So we saw, they're like, let's go into the vortex, and we saw Mel again, this obviously, which we knew is coming up. We got those funny creatures that look a little bit like tractators from the Fifth Doctor story. Not sure if they are, but the next one trailer, although good, I thought was good. And maybe they're just holding a lot of stuff back. It didn't have that much in it, really. It didn't have, like very often when we get next time trailers for upcoming series at the end of a Christmas special, we'll see like Cybermen coming towards the screen, and then this, and then that, and then that. And I'm not saying I want Cybermen, because they definitely need a rest with the Daleks, but I expected to see a couple of like new monsters to make me go, oh, what was that? Freeze frame. What the heck was that? And there wasn't as much in it as I thought we'd get, but maybe they're just holding stuff back. But what do you reckon to the next time trailer? Has it got you chewing at the bit for series 1, as they're now calling it?
I think it wasn't a bad trailer. I think it's got me interested for sure on what's round the corner. I also think that they just haven't got enough stuff ready yet to make a really good trailer. So I think probably. Yeah. I would say April time, end of March, going into April, we'll have a really cool trailer.
Yeah, so I guess they've got to save stuff to keep us going for the next 4 months, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly.
So, or 3 months, whatever, till it comes up. So yeah, you're right. They've got to hold some stuff back to give us some more breadcrumbs over the next couple of months to keep us invested. So yeah, I guess that's what they're doing.
Yeah, I would say so. It wasn't a bad trailer though.
No, it's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Alrighty, dude. I think on that note, then we'll wrap it there for episode 387.
Alrighty.
Thank you so much for coming back and listening to another episode of the Big Blue Box podcast. That was 387. So not terrible scores from us. A 6.5 from me and a 7.5 from him for the church on Ruby Road. We're going to be back next week. We're going to dive into some of the episodes that we've still got to review across all of Classic Who. So next week, dude, what's our review story?
Just realised I said we need a rest from the Cybermen, and next week we're reviewing Revenge of the Cybermen. But I'm looking forward to seeing this one. I haven't watched this for a long time. So Revenge of the Cybermen, 4th Doctor classic.
A classic indeed. We're off to, I haven't seen this one in ages. What is it? Space Station Nerva, I think.
That's the one.
Yeah.
What are those
Sarah
funny
Jane.
little creatures called on that planet as well?
I don't know, dude. I haven't seen it in
funny
ages.
faces. Yeah. Anyway, those guys.
Yeah, those guys. Yeah. So yeah, get your. There's no excuse for not watching these now. Get iPlayer fired up. They're still on BritBox. Your DVDs, your special Blu-ray, whatever you want to put it on. Because we'll shoot some stuff out on the socials asking for your thoughts, so keep a lookout for that. In the meantime, make sure you are following and subscribing on your preferred podcast app, so you won't miss an episode when it goes out every Friday. And head over to the website as well, bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. You can listen to all the episodes there for free as well, and you can read all the cool reviews and articles from our writing team. Also, check out my co-host channel over on YouTube. It is, of course, The Geek's Handbag.
The Geek's Handbag, yeah, there'll be some new vids coming up if I can get my beeping gear. So they've got some half-edited videos that I need to finish. But yeah, should be some new stuff coming up on The Geek's Handbag, so go give it a subscribe.
Indeedy. And until next week, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember, Aaaaaaaallons-y!